Okay, so let Niall have a little bit of a rest there. We'll start with questions for Mette. Okay, Mette, how do you encourage a child who doesn't show any interest in Lego puzzles or other mental games? My daughter has huge interest in princess kind of play. Is there any course on Lego 6 bricks? Obviously there is. If yes, how to apply?
There's no course, but there's a lot of inspiration. And also, well, I have girls and boys. Well, a boy, but wow. And my son is really into Lego, and the girls, well, they sort of build houses with the Legos. So every child is different, and it doesn't come down to you have to play with your Legos. Find something else that does the trick, because it's not the Lego, it's the playing that's important. And Lego has this problem as a product with girls. They never sort of got into girls. They never really found the construction toys as interesting as boys did. And we don't know why. That's a big question. So I believe, well, if princesses or dinosaurs or bicycles or whatever is the big thing with a child, start there.
Thank you. Niall, maybe we should wait for this question for the ministers being here as well to hear your answer, but we'll go anyway. What role has the government, i.e. the Department of Children and Education, on promoting the importance of storytelling, shared time that must happen between child and adult from birth onwards, and ensure that parents understand the value and need for the same?
I think, you know the way we're snowed in with information coming at us everywhere? You know the way things seem to get busier and busier every day? I think the government are on the back foot too, trying to catch up with the next big thing. Does that make sense? I think that under the straitened circumstances of the years that have passed, I think they have tried their best to promote storytelling in all its forms. I do know now, just in terms of teenagers, we spoke briefly about first years. Now there is first and second years have to get up and they have to tell a story to their teacher. Second years will have to from now on. Have you heard of this? It's a really good thing to prepare their oral skills. I would say as someone who works in the arts, to double how they promote it. Think a triple how they promote it. I think also with traditional storytelling, I'll be honest with you folks. May I be honest with you? Traditional storytelling is the fringe of the arts these days. I was on an airplane coming home last night and had storytellers, but not one of them was a traditional storyteller. They were all like in their different disciplines. There was a poet, and there was a spoken word artist and writers, and they're brilliant and wonderful. But I thought, oh, well, it's kind of fringe of the fringe in a way. We say as a country, we're nation of storytellers, don't we? And we are. We could talk the back legs of a donkey, couldn't we? But one of the key elements of good storytelling is to be a good listener. And I would love if the power structures within the arts and within the what I would call the gatekeepers and those who control the purses within government, if they recognise traditional storytelling, I would love if they put more money into it. But like I say, it is quite difficult because there's the literature storytelling and the other forms, and they will deserve it as well. So I suppose you can never give enough money to the arts. And our person who works in the arts would say that. That sounded like a politician's answer. That sounded a very shifty answer. Does that enlighten a little bit? Yeah. I often feel like I go into a place and people say, are you going to read a book? Or many of you, when you come here, did you think you might know what traditional storytelling will be, what I might do? Or people say, how come you're not wearing a waistcoat and how come you haven't got a hat? How come you're not really old? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. There's the image. You remember Aine Kelly? Aine Kelly was such an incredible storyteller that people began to perceive that's the way you had to be a traditional storyteller. But no, Aine is a ninja storyteller. But that's a particular style. And what we have to instill in our children is that all styles are relevant. And that, and we have the new Irish coming in. Bring out your style. Get up there and perform. So actually, this is a real politician's answer. Things are going, the educators are trying to push it forward as much as they can. At least that's my experience.
Okay.
Now I'm going to shut up.
Thank you. Okay, back to Mette. My son does not have patience or persistence with building stuff for long. He seeks quick results. How do you build up that, as Lego needs both time and patience? He's generally good at reading, maths and other stuff at school. He's age 10.
I think my questions were more difficult than yours. Well, persistence is something you work on. You've all seen the marshmallow test, right? And you can't just persuade kids to be persistent and spend time on task. I'm going to tell a story, right? Because my son can stay with his computer. He's 14. Give him a computer game, and he'll stay there all weekend. Tell him to read a book, and he'll say, for how long? And we have the discussion. Should we say, well, you're very good at keeping your time, at being on a task for a long time when it's on the computer. How can you do what you're doing on the computer with something else? And he looks at us, oh, you stupid teacher parents. But that sort of, then I'm telling him, well, when I have to do something that I really don't want to do, I try to find out, well, something I like to do. What keeps me at that? And can I copy that onto this? How do I motivate myself? And him being 14, that might be a bit easier than with a 10-year-old. But then again, telling them, well, now we're doing this, and this is good, and then being there with them, not saying, now go play with your Legos, and then we leave. But sit down with your kid, read the book or play with them, because then they spend more time, because the togetherness is important. And they want, as you said earlier, the kids want so much to be with us. So if we do it with them, I think that's the right path to go down. But it's not a political answer, but it's a mother answer.
Okay, thank you. Niall, in my case, storytelling is getting more boring for me as the children grow. How can I get more motivated to do more fun storytelling time?
Blood and guts. Just tell about, you know the moments when you're busy and you're on the phone, you go, oh, all right, just go away. Be by example. And in the car, you know when you're traveling the journeys, that seems to be the quality time you have with them, the 15-minute ride? Start to slowing down. Do it in installments. Like the time you first kiss. Remember when you were that age? Just cast your mind back to when you were that age, the things that appeal to you, and then remember the things you did and start telling them. Stick them throw it up in the air and do it in a narrative format. Do it like they did Leonardo DiCaprio doing Romeo and Juliet. Do you remember that movie? I thought that was great, the way they brought that into a different context. So that is one thing that I know works. And from somebody who works with teenagers the whole time, I know you start with the powerful start. It was at the back of the dance hall. We're up from the iPad. What? I was 2 months older than you. Actually, were you younger than they are now? So it's the golden rules. You know, you start with a boom, and you hook your fish. You have your voice, you have your body, you have your space, and those are your ninja weapons. And use those things that you do so well. You know the way you can mimic your auntie? Or perhaps the fella down the road, you're able to mimic him and you're all having a laugh at him. Populate your stories with the characters of your life, and you'll be able to do them brilliantly. You'd win an Academy Award for the way you can tell stories. Can I say the 3 things that I wanted to say? Can I?
Yes.
Or I'm being naughty.
No, carry on. Carry on.
If I had a magic wand, you know what I do for our country? I would go, and I would end litigation. You know the Brehon Laws? We like to think that we inherited litigation from America. I think we exported it there. If you look at the Brehon laws, it's littered with cases of people taking cases against each other. It breaks my heart. I'm up on a high horse, but I wanted to say this because this is a great organisation and you're the parents of our country. In Scandinavia, it's snowing. There's 3 hooks outside the class. There's your rain suit hook, there's your ordinary hook for your little jacket, and there's your snowsuit hook. And they're running out into a snowstorm, and they're climbing trees, and they're falling, getting up and gamboling. This time last year, I was in New Zealand in the butt end of Taranaki. It's a great country. And I was performing, and it was a Maori community, and it was break time. And guess what happened in the pouring rain? Oh, I'm going outside, eh? And all the kids straight out into the rain. Do you know what they were doing? They were in their bare feet. They were kicking rugby balls. That's how you win World Cups. That's how you learn. That's how you explore. When I came back home from New Zealand with my boy, I went to the local playground at home in Galway. You know the University of Galway? By the river, that's our home stomping ground. That's my mythological landscape from my youth. And I'm there with my son Tama. He's just a little fella. We went, at Christmas time, we went down to play in the playground, and the security guard came over and he goes, Jesus, get away, will ye? I says, what? You get away. If he falls, there'll be a case. He's a little kid. No, come on now, I'll get in trouble. I says, he's only a little young fella. This is how he's learning. All right then, okay. You know that fundamental decency of Irish people? Like, it'll come out. We need to stop the litigation. We need to have a freedom to play act where kids can climb trees and gambol in the rain without the lawyers. If there's anybody here a lawyer, I apologise. Anyway, that's number 1. Number 2, you know the school league tables? No. These schools are, yeah, thank you. I'll finish in a sec. The schools are wonderful. These schools, you know, we see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the wonderful schools. But you know what? I see schools up and down our country, Tipperary, Offaly, all over the place, and their teachers are bringing these kids up. Self-confidence, self-esteem. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. By the way, check out this movie. It's called Most Likely to Succeed. Check it out. Most Likely to Succeed. It's about what's coming down the track with AI, you know, artificial intelligence. It's about the skills we need to facilitate our kids taking on for them to get out there and ninja their own lives. Number 3, I forget. I'm going to shut up.
Mette, what do you think about the impact of technology on children's creativity and play, and how can schools and parents best support creativity in the modern age?
Well, I think the two of us agree. Shut the phones off. Get the iPads out of the rooms. I'm so happy that my youngest is 14. He got his first mobile phone when he was 8. His sisters, they were 13. When they never had an iPad because it wasn't there. When I see kids today, families going to restaurants and they sit the kid at the end of the table, here's the iPad, now the rest of us will talk. And I look at them and say, you're a family, get together, get that thing out of there. So I'm a strong believer in technology, but use it when it's useful, not just use it. So I would never, ever give an iPad to a 3-year-old because they don't need it. They need to go out in the rain, jump in puddles. That's what childhood is all about. And we should remember that. And then I know somebody will say, well, they have to learn. I say, well, they will learn. I wasn't born digitally. I'm not a digital native. I work with computers every day. So, of course, we can learn. So leave it and go out and play. Tell them a story.
Niall, what organisations and resources are available for parents to engage in storytelling?
Tap in, search, flick up. There's a whole kind of subculture of it out there. It's everywhere, and there's all different styles. So it's easy. Once it's like when you buy the car, and then you'll see all the other cars the same as yours. Once you tap in, you'll find loads of resources, and there's official organisations and unofficial organisations and groups who do it everywhere.
Okay, so technology is the answer.
In case I forget, go to your local library. That's number 3. We need a librarian in every school in Ireland. Have you ever heard of the JCSP? JCSP. This is what the thing is. It's a good move. You have a librarian parachuted into a school. Dun, dun, dun. And you set up a library, and the kids go for it. So you get a ninja librarian, and you get a library with all sofas that can lie around, and jukebox in the corner. The arts are happening there in all its way. That's what we need. Yeah, there you go.
Mette, have you got any tips on encouraging independent play? As a mother of 3 children, aged 5, 3 and 1, my 2 eldest enjoy playing but need to be led or they lose interest almost immediately.
Wow. I'm the Anne Summers of parenting. I think I have to practice, and then again, being there and taking part of what they're doing. You don't have to be in the game or be playing with them, but being around, asking them questions. Well, what are you doing? What are you going to do next? Do you want to do this with me? And of course someone would say, well, I tried that. And I said, okay, then try something else. Use your imagination. Maybe do something else. Because it's... And maybe sometimes just, well, if you don't want to play, you want to do this with me. Bake a cake or do the laundry or whatever you're busy with. Then involve the kids in that. Because that's also a way to be together, interact. And again... learning, talking, being part of the family. So of course, people or children need to play, but play can be all things. So maybe they like just to be with you, and then make a game out of that.
Thank you. Yes, of course, you can. Yeah.
One of the things that's happened, I think, over the last 150 years is we have an artificial divide between the adult world and the child world. And it is very much an artificial divide, and it's very new. It's a modern thing. And part of what you're saying, I think, is why? Why do we have whole bits of our cities where children are not normally seen? Why do I work in a university where it's unusual to hear a baby? This is ridiculous. We teach people about teaching. There should be children there. So sometimes, as you say, it's not about saying, well, you go and do a child thing while I do an adult thing. Let's do a family thing. And the laundry is a family thing. And if you ever want your children to be able to do the laundry, they've got to help you do it. It's not a natural sort of thing. So it's part of it is about getting rid of that divide between child thing and adult thing. These are family things.
Okay, thank you. Niall, how important is it to take children to live performances, and from what age is it important?
From the get-go. Yeah. And they really build their listening skills. Never be afraid to bring the little one up to the local library. You go for the story time? In you go. Start them young. And they'll, because they're learning the whole time in terms of the ritual of it, the public performance, and they'll go with it. I know they can squawk now and then, but that's all part of the joy of it. And performers will adapt to that. But use your common sense as well. But so public performance is vital. You know the way we're all interconnected, but everybody's isolated with our heads in the technology. It's really important that we experience live performance. The joy of watching dance, the joy of an exhilarating play, or just an outdoor performance in the local park. And if I go back to it again, your local library will have a whole myriad of information on what's happening culturally, locally, to suit. There's a myriad of things for free as well. So it's all out there for us. And we have a very rich cultural life in the country. We have a very rich cultural life. And with the libraries, we have we actually have a really good library infrastructure. Who goes to the local library on a regular basis? So you know. And it's really grown through that whole crisis, how it was made. I know they really had to take up the slack in terms of people working there. They had to multiply their job roles and stuff, but they've come through it, and they provide a huge wide-ranging service where you can access all sorts of cultural events.
Okay, thank you. Mette, and obviously if you want to join in with these are the kind of the more... How would you... actually, this is specifically for Mette. How would you implement Lego 6 bricks to older children in order to continue learning through play?
The same way I do it with younger kids. Tell them maybe they need a little bit more explanation why. Because when you're a teenager, it's embarrassing to be playing. But then again, when they get the bricks, they sort of start moving around. You have these fidget spinners right now being a big hit all over the world. 6 bricks does the same thing. Sitting in class, having something to fiddle with. So tell them a little bit about what I said in the beginning to you. This is important because you learn better. You get better at concentrating. You're working on your listening skills, your communication skills, so that they need more explanation before they talk, before they start doing it. And then do it as a team building. Say, well, now we're going to do team building. They want to do that. And then discuss with them after they did the exercises. Well, what did you do? What did go well? What would you do different the next time? So that they learn, especially when you do it in class. If you do it at home, just play with them. Roll a dice, put the bricks together, or tell them, can you make a game? We have these. Come up with a game we can play on Sunday afternoon. Engage them in different ways. Because they will eventually, in most cases, get excited about it.
Okay, and just the last, I might draw a few questions together because we had a few of them, Niall. There seemed to be a question around what's good time to tell stories. Is it good to tell them at night time, or is it specific times during the day, whether it's better time to tell stories or not?
Anytime. Remember, you're the ninja. And the time that suits you best. And you know that the feeling you have? Go with your instinct. And build up and that way you'll build it up in yourself. Your intuition for when to tell stories. And tell them in the car, tell them in the snuggling up at night. Or tell them when they just sit down at the table. Tell them any day, any time, anyhow. You're fine.
Okay, so can I thank the two speakers for doing the questions and answers in their talk. Thank you.